There we go. Hello, holistic urban farmer. Guys, we are running a little late today. Uh, okay. How do I do this? Guest? No guest yet. Okay. All right. I know this was supposed to be 3 hours ago and then 1 hour ago. But there we go. But I was told that our guest, Judge Joe Brown, is going to be ready at 5 o'clock. Well, there's Sherry. I know, Sherry. Now I was, excuse me, I was on a call yesterday. I was on Judge Joe Brown's podcast, and today I am. He's coming on here. But we had a delay, and everything is supposed to be on schedule from what I am told. So I apologize for those delays. Let me just double check. Wait, that's the wrong one. Just waiting for our guest. I know. We've been through this before. Don't give up. How are both of you people doing? We have two people here at the moment. Miss you on IG. Chantilly. I know. I miss you guys too. I want to do this on Instagram, but apparently he doesn't do the Instagram or YouTube from what I'm seeing right now. Oh, wait a minute. There's a guest in the queue. There he is. Hey, Judge Joe Brown. How are
Judge is in the house.
He's in the house. Okay. Yeah. Do you mind doing a? I smoke cigars while I interview. Is that okay? Yeah, it's fun. Do you smoke?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. But do you mind just doing a quick drop for the show? It's like, hey, this is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching the Dominick Natty Show.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching the Dominick Natty Show.
Awesome. Okay, I'll just do my radio intro, and then we'll just jump into the questions. So, okay, welcome back to the Dominick Natty Show on Intellectual Radio in Chicago and iHeartRadio. I've been telling you about our special guest. The time has come. The man himself, Judge Joe Brown, is with us today. Judge, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Still breathing anyway.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so I'll just jump into some questions. So the big one is, will we be seeing you back on TV soon?
I doubt it, but I might do some blog talk or something like that. Alex Jones and I have been talking about doing something together, so we may have that. But I'm blackballed by Hollywood. They don't like my posture on a lot of the things they hold dear. They've got an agenda, and it is not my agenda. Fairness, impartiality, ethics, morality, yeah. But they've got a different kind of thing they're about, and I'm not.
Okay, so are you saying you're officially blackballed? Is that
Yes.
Okay? Officially,
They hate me. I was not under their control. I always told them to go F off when they got too bold.
okay. So you've gotten you want to do your own show. Basically, you have to produce it yourself.
No, I'm for decency, but they're not. You know,
Right.
their ethics are lacking. Their morality is non-existent. What they're trying to push, I think, is bad for the country. So
Right.
I'm about duty, honor, obligation, responsibility, and accountability, making where you are a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics. Men should be men of peace who are dedicated to making where they are a place filled with public peace, dignity, and order. And these men can be brave and courageous when necessary. They want to change all of that for a hedonistic thing of get your freak on. Well, get your freak on in your own bedroom, but leave it in the bedroom. Everybody else does. So
Right.
there you go.
There you go. Blunt and to the point. That's what everybody loves about you. Okay, now to your knowledge, and this is a question that people ask a lot. To your knowledge, are any of the court shows on TV today staged? And if so, which ones?
Well, I do know this. Some of the so called judges were never really judges. They auditioned. Most of them are lawyers. There's some real judges that have been involved, and too often what it devolved into is you got somebody who had a career goal to be a judge, which I think is improper because you're not supposed to be one until you are learned and wise in the law and wise and experienced in the ways of the world. And too many of them are too young, 3 or 4 years out of law school, and that's not a judge. That's a bad thing that's happened in the profession these days, and it's reflected on TV. Too often you have a balance, well, a dichotomy between those who are actually trying to administer justice and give a fair hearing and those who are trying to fake it and do something else. So most of them, I take it, they're trying to do the right thing, but some of them are so new to the game that they don't have a clue.
Which judge on TV do you think is the most green? That is like the least qualified.
I don't even watch those things now. To me, it's just business. I've done this for 50 years and it's work. It's like, you know, you want to go out and dig ditches. That's what you did. You want to go watch people dig ditches for entertainment? Come on now. There's better things to do in the world.
I understand.
I think the better ones, I like Judge Alex. He was good. He went to law school. He was a street cop. He's wise in the ways of the world. There are a few others, but some of them, a lot of them don't even know the terminology. Some of them have never heard of a nolo contendere, like you've never heard of that. Well, how in the devil can you hold yourself out? Or we had one down there, he was talking about, I never heard of such a thing. And you say, well, my. You haven't? Where have you been? But that one in particular, I'm thinking about, hasn't been around for a long time. It's called a bailment. You tender something to somebody, they have to return it to you in the same condition they received it, absent ordinary wear and tear. That's a classic common law bailment. And there's some that have been on TV that have never even heard of that. So, I mean, it's not surprising. Most of them don't have extensive legal careers. In fact, I'd say there's a young lady that took over divorce court. I can't remember her name. Toller, I think it is, down in Atlanta. She's a real judge. But the rest of them, they do not have experience conducting trials. They don't have experience as lawyers to any significant extent, trying cases in front of a jury, filing appeals, and having had years of experience in doing what they're doing. So, yes, a lot of it's entertaining. But see, back in 1999, somebody sued the show and me, and it went all the way up to the California Supreme Court. So the state Supreme Court said, we recognize Judge Joe Brown as a qualified arbitrator under California law, and everything that he's doing is under the California Judicial Arbitration and Mediation Statute. So for him, it's official. And all of these characters that wanted to play Hollywood got admonished in this 23-page opinion that they had to follow what I dictated, not what they did. Otherwise, they could go to jail or be civilly liable. 2007, there was one that involved Judge Alex. The U.S. Supreme Court heard that one, and they held that it was binding contractual arbitration under the 1928 Arbitration Act of the U.S. So They actually, in the California thing, said I could find people in contempt and have them confined. So it was what it was.
Now, Judge Judy is leaving CBS after 25 years. She says that she felt disrespected with some of the things that they did in the past. What are your thoughts on how CBS treats its talent?
Well, CBS had a special unit. There was the late Roger King, whose father founded King World. They invented television syndication. He invented syndication. He discovered Oprah and Phil, and he came over to CBS, and they had a lot of top heavy stuff because as a Viacom entity, Judy and I had been with Paramount. Prior to that, we had been with Big Ticket Television, which got sold by Aaron Spelling Enterprises to Viacom, and they assigned it to Paramount. But we had a special 4 show unit. It was myself, Judge Judy, Oprah Winfrey, and Dr. Phil. And it was going pretty good. He tried to keep things clean, but there was too much incestuous stuff going on around and about CBS, Paramount, Viacom. Too many people that got hired for nepotistic reasons and not necessarily performance. And they tried to embezzle every time they got a chance, steal, cheat, lie, whatever. So you were constantly threatening to sue them in order to get the money that they agreed to pay you. So it was a cesspool. And yes, they did a lot of low down stuff. As a matter of fact, how I got discovered was basically they wanted to threaten Judy with replacing her with me so she wouldn't ask for so much money after her first year. So, but that wound up working itself out. I got a foot in the door and I just decided to do the right thing. And actually, most people don't know this. It was either the number 1 or number 2 show in America for syndication. And I know I was beating Oprah every week and Phil every day in the ratings for the last 3 years, but you never let them tell you. Matter of fact, what CBS was doing, it was so low down, they were trying to basically destroy the show because they didn't like what I was doing. And they wouldn't even run me in LA's TV guide. The biggest question we got is the judge still on? So it was kind of crazy that it was a number 1 TV show or number 2. And every time I started beating Judy, CBS would change its rating schedule so she could stay ahead. They did not want a straight man to be the number 1 show.
Really? They,
Yes.
so you had higher ratings syndication than Oprah and Dr.
Oh,
Phil.
yeah. I beat her every week, but they wouldn't let you know. See, they have this A list, B list, C list thing. That's for real. But the press doesn't establish the A, B, or C list. The studio does. So the studio wouldn't even list me. They kept wanting me to go away, but I didn't. So I did something. I had some stock in CBS, and what happens is you get the stockholders' newsletter. So they're either lying to the stockholders, which carries 10 years in a federal penitentiary and a big fine, or they're lying to you. So I'd always say, this is what you're saying. You're claiming I'm the number 1 CBS moneymaker, and a great contribution toward the fact that at this point CBS had 14 straight quarters of enhanced profit, the last 4 the highest in the history of the organization. So they are saying I'm greatly responsible, and you're trying to say my ratings are dropping. Well, hell, everybody's is, because the media was changing at the time, but it's still a matter of relative rankings and commercial revenue. So go to hell. After 15 years, I just said, I'm eligible to get Social Security and retirement. You can go get screwed. I'm out of here.
So do you not blame Judge Judy for leaving CBS? Like, do you?
Well, I mean, if more power to her, but I agree with it. It's a cesspool.
Yeah.
And CBS, for interestingly, CBS liked to cheat the talent. And that was one of the reasons why it was the only mainstream entertainment media group that was in the black rather than in the red for a whole decade.
Okay. And are you friends with Judy, or do you guys ever interact, or did you while you were
Well, she had a different experience level than I did. She put her husband Shineland through law school, had some kids, graduated from, went to law school herself, graduated. Mayor Koch, when she was fresh out of law school, was looking for some nice Jewish woman to run a domestic court that they had just gotten created where lawyers couldn't practice, so they selected her. Looked like a boost, but it's a curse. No $1 million settlement, no big jury trials that hit all the papers, no significant appeals, and this kind of thing. So I wound up getting a lot of press one time for getting the youngest person in the world off death row. I got a stay of execution 23 minutes before he was supposed to be executed, and he was only 15 years, 2 weeks old at the time. And let's see, I tried 42 first degree murder cases as a lawyer, death penalty demanded. Nobody that I represented is on death row, and most of them didn't even go to jail. And there were a whole bunch of other homicides, rapes, robberies, burglaries, significant civil rights cases, matters of appeal that were significant, this kind of thing. So let's see, in my career, I was with Poverty Law. They called it area legal services. I had a fellowship to that. For that, I was with EEOC. I was the first black prosecutor in the history of the city of Memphis. I ran the public defender for the city as the chief public defender. And in 1979, I went into private practice, specializing in criminal trial law. So, you know, that's not the kind of history that most of them had.
so you were the most qualified judge on television,
Now, I was certainly the most experienced.
most experience. Yeah. Okay. Now, and we I was on your podcast
I
yesterday.
also, by the way, was the last judge on the James Earl Ray Martin Luther King case, and it would have been my conclusion that Ray was not the gunman. As a matter of fact, I discovered through the process that the FBI actually furnished, acquired 5 weapons that matched the very peculiar ballistics that would have been necessary to have fired the fatal bullet that killed Dr. King. And it was a 2-man hit team. The shot came from the fire station, not the flop house, not the bushes. Most likely, they recruited some Marine snipers out of Quantico where they had an FBI training facility, and somebody just walked next door, made the arrangements. None of this fuss about Raul and none of this other conspiratorial nonsense. Um, it's tragic, but America still hasn't gotten to the bottom of it, and people aren't really interested. But what with Homeland Security / Patriot Act, and what we're seeing right now with the suppression of the First Amendment and all kinds of totalitarian rules that are getting put into place, the public really ought to get on top of that because it's about to hit big time. And they got away with it once, they can get away with it again. And then there's this other thing too, that Obama and his administration issued an executive order that gives the president of the United States the discretion, according to his view, and it keeps in effect that the president can ignore someone's due process and confine them indefinitely without probable cause if he, on his own initiative, thinks that this person is a threat to the U.S., whether or not that person has committed any violations of the law. Additionally, he also issued an executive order that gave him the authority to order the elimination, meaning the assassination or killing of any person that he saw fit if he, in his exclusive discretion, believed that the individual was a threat to the country's security, even if that was an American citizen, even if that American citizen had committed no acts that amounted to a crime, and even if the killing occurred in continental United States. So there's some scary stuff out there that people aren't paying attention to.
And what are your thoughts? So you worked on, the maybe the biggest social justice case. I mean, so what are your thoughts on what is going on today? Are we making progress?
No, we're not.
Or not?
We're regressing. I'd say what has happened is you're putting things in place that people like J. Edgar Hoover did 50, 55, 60 years ago because they had the power to do it, but they did not have the legal entitlement to do it. Now they're giving themselves the legal entitlement. What's happening with the First Amendment is just horrible. You can look at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and they are suppressing speech supposedly because it makes people uncomfortable. But the speech they're suppressing does not carry any civil penalty because it's not defamation of character. It's not supporting treason or sedition or anything like that. It's protected speech, but it's supposed to make somebody uncomfortable so it can be restricted. They have FCC licenses to operate, which means that they're using public airways and they're engaging in wireless interstate commerce, which means they come under the FCC, which means they should be held accountable as a public utility or a public forum. They took Trump in about 3 years ago because he was blocking people who had nasty things to say about him on his Twitter site. Somewhat wisely, he did not go further, but the way it stands right now in the federal appellate courts is that since it was a public forum, he couldn't block people and interfere with their exercise of their First Amendment rights to discuss political matters. And that still stands. But Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram says we are private. We can do that. We can put our position out, which means having drag queens talk to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year olds. You can enforce the teaching of LGBTQ to children and shove it down the public's throat, but you can't put up anything that says we don't like it. And as far as that goes, if you want to be a homosexual, that's your damn business. That's your right. Get your freak on. Your bedroom activity is the same. But just like we can't get outside of our bedrooms, why can they? What's sauce for one goose is sauce for the gander, and it's like, I don't get it. Sexual conduct. Why the hell don't we have a month for those who like to do it doggy style or reverse cowgirl on top? What the hell?
Well, what about racially, though? Are we making progress?
No, we're not.
Okay. You're being
Juneteenth is a farce because what's it celebrating? That some people down in Texas a year after they were free and the Civil War was over found out in 1866, not 1865, that the war was over. I mean, what is the accomplishment? Why don't they celebrate, say, if they want to celebrate something, the passage of the 13th Amendment that outlawed slavery? But no, they want Juneteenth. And a lot of black people refused to celebrate that for years. All while I was growing up, none of the relatives wanted to celebrate it. It's an embarrassment. Every other black person in the United States knew the Civil War was over except these bumpkins down in Texas. So, I mean, what's the point? Up here in Oklahoma, you're talking about Black Wall Street, and you got fools buck dancing to banjo and harmonica music, dancing. When you're talking about why? Celebrating the slaughter of a whole bunch of black entrepreneurs and families. That'd be like the Jewish people going to Auschwitz and having a party. It's ridiculous. And then we've got the Black Caucus that's absolutely useless. I mean, the only utility they have is being surrogates for LGBTQ, which is brilliant politics on behalf of LGBTQ, but not anybody else. See, we have 3 parties in America now. 2 of them are official, and all you have to do is declare. And the third one, I guess you got to get initiated. We have the jumbo elephant Republicans. We've got the jackass donkey Democrats, and we have the rainbows. The problem is that you can be a rainbow and a jackass or a rainbow and a jumbo, and the jumbos and the jackasses clash. And what happens is the rainbow part works behind the scenes. And there are all kinds of things that they're bringing in with other titles that have some grave bring grave endangerment to the republic. I mean, what they're doing to free speech and due process. Fourth Amendment to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, and Fifth Amendment to be free from self-incrimination is absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, let me ask you this: we were on your podcast yesterday. You shared a very shocking story. Have you ever been set up by a production company or a
Yes, I said that.
right?
This hashtag Me Too stuff. My show had been about a month and a half old. It was a hit. And at that time, it was big ticket television. They put on a fete, one of the big hotels in LA. I was a bachelor. I was in my early 50s. I was having a good time dancing with all of the starlets and everything else. And I ran into a woman that I had known before. She was there. We sat down, started talking, and she got up to she excused herself to get up and go to the ladies' room. She came back a bit later, and I said, wow, did she leave me? She said, do you know that guy over there, tall guy in the gray suit? I said, yeah. She said, he offered me $2,000 in cash if I'd signed this note that you tried to molest me. I said, whoa. So we went around and we found several of the women that I danced with, and we got statements from them that the same thing had happened. So I got with my female publicist, who was a beautiful woman, and we came up with a scheme. We created a fictitious woman, and we filed notarized affidavits that we were doing this, and we went through each stage, and we filed them with human resources. And about 6 weeks later, they come up with this tale where they have this fictitious woman supposedly writing a letter complaining about me propositioning her to get her a job on the show or something like that. So I just said basically drop dead. I quit. Screw all of you. And by the way, you might want to have human resources bring this particular file folder over, which they did. And when we looked at all of the letters, they got red faced, and none of them were there after 6 weeks, and I was for 14 some more years.
Wow.
See, that's how they do it.
Wow. And is that embezzlement? Is that like what is
No, that's attempted extortion.
extortion? I'm sorry, wrong word. So that's attempted extortion. And did anyone serve jail time?
No, they didn't.
No.
See, what they do is when you catch them, they say, look, let's not have a nasty lawsuit. We'll make it up to you on the next contract.
Right.
And then you got to catch them because they'll try and trick you. And then they keep trying to go through. Well, we'll make it up to you on the next contract. Well, to some extent they do. But I mean, it's bad. And there is a thing that happened 2011. You remember this series, So You Want to Be a Millionaire?
Mm-hmm.
They
Yep.
jacked everybody around, so the plaintiffs sued ABC and Disney. Well, ABC and Disney dragged their feet for about 9 years, and the plaintiffs wound up having to go through state court and then up through the federal system. When they got the full 9-member panel on the Ninth Circuit said in the very first paragraph of its decision, um, this industry seems singularly indisposed to honor the first fundamental rule of American contract law, which is all parties are supposed to deal with each other in good faith. So what happened is they said, perhaps we can get the message to them. So instead of giving the plaintiffs $7 million, they gave them $580 million. And ABC and Disney couldn't come up with that cash, and it's up in $1.25 billion right now from accumulated interest. So you see, that's what they do.
That's well. Speaking of that, let me ask you about some of these things that are in the news now. I'd love to hear your opinion. So Kim Kardashian is going through, and she's attempting to become a lawyer.
Well, let me tell you what her problem is right off front.
Okay.
See, she's trying to exercise the pathway that California allows where you can read law with either a judge or a lawyer. And if you make the announcement to the bar that that's what you're going to do after the first year, you take what they call a baby bar. Then you have 3 more years to study. Then you take the main bar. If you go to an accredited law school, you just enroll, and when you graduate in 3 years, then you are permitted to take the bar. There's an unaccredited law school pathway where you have to take the baby bar after the first year, and then 3 years later, you take the main bar. Now, that's not our problem. The problem is called ethics, and they have disbarred lawyers for getting caught in the back seat of a car, getting down after a good time at a nightclub, getting caught on a beach doing something scandalous. And she's got her amateur porn career with Ray J, that's Brandy's brother, and appearing half naked in a whole lot of pictures and posed incidents, and that's not cool. And then the whole thing with Meet the Kardashians or whatever it is, let's just say that what they display is not exactly ethical. So the bar associations have this thing of, we don't want somebody in front of a jury or associated with the legal system where everybody thinks something that's unethical when they see them. So good luck to her if she passes the ethics part. I mean, they might let her do it, but I think they'll probably bend over backwards to excuse a lot of things that other people would not get excused for. So there is that thing. She might find it fascinating to study law, but whether or not she passes the ethics part of the admission to the bar standards, that's a different thing.
Under normal circuit, if she wasn't a celebrity, she would never pass the ethics because she's
Mm-mm.
born in her sexy image.
Mm-hmm.
So if they overlook that, it's because she's a celebrity.
Well, if she passes the bar, F. Lee Bailey took the bar, attorney's bar, 15, 20 times, still never passed. But the bottom line was, that's for California. But uh, due to some Supreme Court rulings, lawyers are permitted to practice elsewhere a few times a year if they associate local counsel. But see, they're holding her up as an expert on sentencing reform, prison reform, and she doesn't know anything about it. So I wonder why the powers that be won't find somebody with some expertise in the subject.
Also, so Britney Spears is under a conservatorship since 2008, which puts her father in complete control over all aspects of her life. At the time she was having mental health crisis, it's been 13 years, and she's fighting to get the conservatorship lifted. So, what is your best advice to free Britney?
I don't know. I don't know that much about the case. Not my kind of case. See, I deal with serious stuff, not little BS between some family starlet. And you see, when you go around and act a fool in public for the wrong reasons, it comes back and bites you. Like John Wick's character says, the character John Wick says in the movie, there are consequences.
Yeah. So basically, she signed this over to her father. Those are the consequences of her actions, and she shouldn't. You think that?
Yeah, see, probate courts protect people from themselves sometimes, or at least they're supposed to.
Right. I I understand. So that's the idea. Is basically
Yeah,
she was not in the right mental health. Signed this form, and now she says I am, but that's just not how it works.
say, are you gonna? The family's got a fortune. She's got a fortune, or at least something left of it, hopefully. So, do you let her just frit it away frivolously, or do you help her conserve it so later on in life, when she really needs it, she still got it, or if she has any children or relatives to whom it may descend, in succession, you leave it in the family. Keep it in the family. Don't waste it.
Right. But she wants complete control back. But legally, basically, there's nothing she could do. Does that sound right?
Not until the court says okay.
I know this isn't your area, but if you were the judge, what would you suggest on that?
Well, I'd like to look at the psychiatric reports and assessment of her competence, a demonstration on a limited basis to see what she can do, what her spending habits are, what she's doing with the resources she has. And we take a look at it after a review period and keep reviewing it.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with having dad look over her shoulder.
yeah,
That might be the best thing, just to leave it in place. You might assess, why does she want it removed?
yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, she says she's okay now. She can handle her own life.
So
So
what's she gonna do with it? What's dad keeping her from spending?
yeah, that's
You want to go buy some more diamond clusters and some more very, very expensive boutique designer shoes and cars, and you want to go spend and get drunk and wasted? Not saying she is, but there were allegations. Is that what you want to do with it? Well, guess what? Since you're in this condition and you've been held to be unable to properly manage your affairs, let's just leave them with dad.
hmm, okay. Um, this is Heidi. Heidi says they're trying to control her 50 million. It's her money, her decision. She can blow it if she chooses.
No, she can't. They don't allow that. See, if somebody says they can't handle it, they're not going to let you ruin yourself, because you become a burden on the public.
Really?
Yeah. See, the citizens get taxes paid on that kind of money. So the citizenry wants it. They want order. They want public peace, dignity, and order. And there's an example that everybody's supposed to be setting. So when a family member says our kin over here is not behaving correctly, they don't need to have the responsibility. They're acting childlike. And if a court agrees, then somebody in a more responsible position gets to call the shots.
Okay. Last topic. Kimberly Alexander falsely claimed that Tristan Thompson was the father of her child. Now Tristan and Chloe are threatening to sue her for loss of endorsement money. Should celebrities sue women for false paternal claims?
It can be very damaging, because today's culture, as I pontificated upon a little bit earlier, is not interested in due process of law. They are interested in, let's make a big thing, a big stink out of it because somebody's accused. So, thusly, you don't want any unnecessarily accusations. If it's a reckless accusation, yeah, it should be actionable. But then again, the law has changed, so women are pretty much immune to making just about any kind of complaint. So if they can prove the case to show that there are appropriate damages that should come out of a malicious proceeding, in other words, you maliciously and without any basis made such a claim, then yeah, go after it. It's a two-edged sword, because what happens is, in the law, when it comes to sexual interaction, you get a lot of abuse. So you want people to be protected, because when it's real abuse, it's horrible. And when there's a false accusation, you don't want to put a penalty on somebody, because they become reticent about coming forward and saying, okay, I lied. See, it's one thing if they say, I lied, I was wrong. Okay, fine. I'll go home and I'll eat a pint of ice cream and some bonbons, or get drunk or something. And it's another when you say, okay, for lying, you get 5 years in jail. Maybe we'll suspend it. They might be very reluctant to come forth and start talking about stuff. So that's what you get when you start dealing with people for 50 years with law and other stuff.
Yeah.
You find that out.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Now, Judge, we always ask about relationships too. Are you dating anyone right now, or are you a single man?
I'm single. I got divorced after a 4.5 year long California divorce. My ex wife was an absolutely drop dead, gorgeous woman, high maintenance. and we had been involved with each other for about 20 years, but it just didn't work out. Maybe I can't keep them that long. I don't know. But I'm single right now. I'm not married to anybody. There's some prospects, I suppose. And I do have an eye for beautiful women. I like beautiful, intelligent women who can carry on a conversation and are about the business of doing something for other people besides themselves. And I know a few like that.
There you go. Okay. So you got a few prospects. Are you using the dating apps, or are you
No, hell no.
no dating apps? All right. Are you,
I know this. The more you're doing in life, see, there's a pyramid. Top of the pyramid, the women and the men that at the top, the alpha male, alpha female, there are very few people they can really deal with on their same level. But you see, unfortunately, it doesn't sit like that. They get mixed in. So the people that don't have much going, there are a whole lot of people they can deal with. If you got a lot going, it's hard to find. It's not just about beauty. It's not just about sex. It's a synergistic thing about, do the two of you together inspire so your reactors run at 110% capacity? Or do you have somebody who you're in love with that you hate and you got to operate at 45%? In other words, get along with them.
right.
And there's a problem. We have a situation in America right now. Something's happened to the males. We have a thing where for the last 20 years, only 28% of each year's high school graduates on average are male. Only 32% of the college undergrads are male. Only 36% of the college grad students are male. And only 44% of the workforce is male. And most interestingly, there are more boy virgins 18 to 25 than girl virgins 18 to 25. Something has happened here. And see, I guess that pushes the LGBTQ thing, because little boys hang out with little boys all the time from day one. Little girls hang out with little girls. And if you tell them they don't have to figure out the dating game and they can have sex, same sex, and get the orgasms, then there's little incentive for them to find out how to deal with each other. And what they put out now is so absolutely poisonous. It's crazy. Like, for example, they've got a movement afoot to create a new felony called rape by seduction. Now, what does that mean? That means you call up somebody and say, hey, what's happening? Let's go to dinner this Friday. Okay, fine, let's go. So you go to a good restaurant, good meal, linen, candlelight, wine, the mood's nice. It's spring. You decide to go for a walk in the park. You're holding hands, my place or yours. You get where you're going, everything happens. You kiss and hug, clothes come off. You have sex. Well, that's not legal according to these clowns. It's supposed to be rape by seduction. You're supposed to say, look, let's have sex Friday. Okay, up front, get an agreement. So before we do it, let's go out to a nice restaurant, and I'll keep asking you, you want to have sex? Still have sex while we're drinking the wine during the dessert. Still want to have sex. Okay, do you want to go for the walk in the park before we have sex? And you want to hold hands before we screw, And then when you get home over per place of yours, do you mind if we go for, let me get a note. You want to initial this note that we're going to have sex and we're just agreeing to go through the preliminaries? Hell, nobody will get laid. There'll be no people. So that is crazy. That doesn't deal with human nature. See, here's what it is. Anytime you see a human, what do you see?
A person?
A successful screw.
Oh, successful screw. That's right.
Hey, you're born or you're hatched, you mature, you mate, you reproduce, you raise, then you die. That's all there is to it, from
Life.
generation after generation. And these folk want to break the cycle because they don't like it.
Now, I mean, what
They
about
hate what they are and they hate what they want to be. And see, they're subtle about it. I heard them plotting 50 some years ago. See, like 20 years ago, sex and gender were identical. And now you see gender has fluid and it doesn't have any meaning because it's fluid. And then sex concerns itself with the sexual act, so you get that confused, so nobody knows what the hell they are and people don't even care. And why are you doing that to your son? Well, he said he wanted to be a girl, but he wasn't but a year and a half. Hell, he can't even talk.
I mean, what if
Or it gets me, and I don't know what rank, is this after dark, after 10, adult only, whatever. But essentially, how is somebody going to tell you what gender he wants to be? He's never had a hard on or she's never gotten wet.
exactly? I mean,
Yeah.
what if the girl likes to be choked? Is it dangerous to do that, even if she's the one suggesting it? I mean, are you putting yourself, is the
You
guy
know what?
yourself at
You
risk?
can't do anything these days because people have perverted this thing. They don't want to admit that humans are, in fact, still mammals. We are primates and we act as per our nature. So they don't want to deal with that. They keep saying, we're human, we're not stuck with it. Oh, yes, you are. I'm sorry. And to me, if you want to get your freak on, that's your damn business. Enjoy yourself. Don't hurt anybody. But like one woman I know, she's about 65 years old. She said, Joe, look, I've been trying my whole life. You know me how long? I'm about 35, 40 years. She said, I'm doing pretty good. I said, yeah, you look damn good. Go to the gym, you get your makeup on right, you get your hair done, nails, you're always dressed tastefully. You jog regularly, so you're in good shape. You look damn fine. She said, well, I've been working on these things. So now some damn fool feminist are trying to scare away every one man I'm trying to attack. What the hell's going on?
That's right. She's working on it. Yeah.
And see, Mother Nature with this, the thing it does, the cycle. You're walking down the street, you're a guy, you see some hips swaying. Oh, yeah, that looks good. The ladies, they see a guy look like he's buffed out, he's athletic, they'll look. Nowadays, you can't because you may see an imposter.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to look over there because if it's not what I think it is, damn, that's kind of, wow. But damn. And it's like somebody I know was joking. It's been a couple of years ago. He said, man, Joe, I was in Atlanta and I saw the finest woman I'd ever seen in my life. So I got up enough nerve to go over and say something and found out it was a boy.
God, that's the worst. Yeah. So, yeah, they're trying.
But you see, that's okay. Fine. But we can't say, look, man, why don't you just chill out and go get your thing together? Like competing with these women. Maybe you heard my little thing about these trannies competing in women's sports. See, 30 years ago, the women were hollering about it's not fair for boys to be able to get their college educations paid for through athletic scholarships. The girls need a chance. So, okay, now you have these guys that are failures as male athletes. And instead of sitting in the stands and cheering like everybody else that can't make the varsity, they get to put on bras and wigs and compete against the girls. Now, I have a story that makes me very angry every time I think about it. There's a friend I have, and he had a granddaughter, that I had last seen when she was about 11. She'd been taking martial arts since she'd been about 7, 8 years old. So I'm walking into this big hardware store, and somebody says, Uncle Joe. I look over, and there's this beautiful young lady, late teens, looks like 18 or 19, but she's got her arm jacked up in a full cast with a strut on it, wrapped to her waist. And first I said, are you? She said, yeah. I said, I haven't seen you since you're 11. What's going on? So she was telling me that she converted her martial arts into getting a scholarship, athletic, to do women's wrestling at this significant university. Well, this was a couple of years ago before COVID-19 hit. She said they had a tournament, so she was supposed to wrestle this boy. So she says, no, I'm not going to wrestle this over-muscled fool. What the hell, no. So she got told she'd lose her scholarship. If she didn't, then the team would forfeit. Same thing with another girl. Well, the other girl got 3 cracked ribs and a fractured jaw. And my friend's granddaughter got a compound fracture of the arm, and she's crying on my shoulder, talking about she's had 3 operations. It hurts so bad. She can't go without the pain medication, but she doesn't want to get addicted. And when she takes the pain medication, she can't study. What is she going to do? See, that's not right.
Yeah.
That is wrong. Men don't hit women. And just because you got a freak thing going on up in your head, you can't cut it, and you are so damn important, you got to get some blue ribbons or something. Like they got one guy that's rated #1 in women's track, and it's a guy, he's still swinging. And the last year before he competed as a man, he was 362nd rated in men's track, but now he's #1 rated in girls' track. They got some guy from New Zealand that just did a power snatch. Hell, I'm 70 years old and I can snatch more than that, but it's significant for a woman. So why is he getting credited for winning a women's event? He's a guy.
Yeah.
And they don't need a tranny league. They just need boys and girls. And if you can't cut it, sit in the damn stands and cheer.
Okay. Now, what if there's some women watching this? You said you're 70 years old. What is your age
74 range? And
74. Okay. So what is your age range that you're looking for in a woman? And
basically 40 and up.
40 and up. Okay. Nothing below 40 is too young.
Is it? Yeah. Here's the way it goes.
This is the way it goes. Okay. Okay.
Here's the way it goes. See, with a young woman, it goes like this. Yeah, babe, it was real good, but you know, I had a long, hard day today, and I got one tomorrow. I got to go. I left a little something on the nightstand. Daddy, you going to call me? Yeah, baby, I'll call you the next few days. Sure? Yeah, baby, I'm going to call you. Okay, I'm out of here. All right. Now, you get to grown women, it goes like this. Excuse me? Well, yeah, baby, I had a long, hard day, but so did mama. Where are you going? Well, I got a long, hard day tomorrow. Well, I got a long, hard day tomorrow, too. But, put that chain back on that damn door, bring your ass back over here, lay down. Mama gonna get everything flying at full mast again. You wanted to get you some tonight, you gonna get you some tonight. You still have some work to do. See, I mean, be real. And I always say, hey, I'm not as good as I used to be, but sometimes I'm better than ever I was, And there's always blue vitamin V.
That's right.
But
that's right.
Modern technology, hell.
Now at 74, I mean, how much sex can you have? I mean, are you more than once a day? With the help of
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, but do you need some help?
Try to pump a little iron and go out and jog, walk, health permitting. So, yeah.
That's right.
Okay. That's one thing about being a man. You don't really get too old if you got the appetite. But that said, there are other things about a woman besides sex. See, sex is kind of nonverbal communication. You ever seen people talk about, I'm not photogenic, I take bad pictures, and they're not bad looking? Well, see, I'm talking to you, you can see me. So only 15% of what I'm saying consists of the words. 35% consists of the tone, and 50% consists of the body language. When you're having sex with somebody, it's 100% body language for the most part. So when somebody says they're unphotogenic and you take that picture, you're freezing a body language statement. And they might not like what they're saying, but they don't realize that they're still communicating. So if you've got somebody with a decent personality that's got something to say, well, they'll be able to have sex in a meaningful fashion and say something. And it's a great synergistic interaction. I've found over the years that women have sex very consistently with their real personalities. Sometimes if they can actually drive a car, they drive consistently with their real personalities, which will be consistent with how they have sex. So watch how the woman drives a car, assuming she knows how to drive one.
I've never heard that before. It's in the car operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking on the James Earl Ray thing, I got contacted much after I had retired from a representative of a certain concern who came up with an algorithm. They use it with the U.S. State Department and the U.S. Defense Department. It's not a polygraph test, it's not a lie detecting test. You get a clear video of the person with the voice and the body language, and you wash it through the algorithm, and it'll give you a scale from 0 to 34, from red to green, on whether they're telling the truth, and it will also pretty much let you know what they're saying. So I got contacted for an interesting reason. These people had acquired 6 hours of the last recorded interview of James Earl Ray, and their purpose was to get the bottom line on what they were convinced was a liar. So in 6.5 hours, they were astonished to find that he was all the way on that 34 green side is telling the truth. So they were astonished, and they wanted to come to me to find out what I thought had actually happened, because it came into play with this Guantanamo thing. There were some Navy, Marine, and Army officers who took their oath to uphold the Constitution very seriously, and they were saying, maybe we've been lied to. We got told Ray was an absolute liar and all of this, but we're looking at this guy as truthful. What the hell's going on? So when we get told one thing, what's really going on? They became very concerned about that. So, in other words, an algorithm that the U.S. government uses for State Department deep level intrigue and diplomacy and I spy stuff, in the military uses. I mean, they used it a lot in analyzing what bin Laden was really saying. They said something's wrong here with this picture. We'd like to know about it. So that's just the kind of thing that you have to deal with today's world. A lot of stuff is not what you think, and this is another exemplar of how, when you are aware of it, you should teach yourself to read body language and read tone. There are all kinds of things that go on. This thing's famous in mystery books and detective stuff. He was walking down the dark alley when something hit his sixth sense and his hair stood up on the back of his neck. But there's no sixth sense. What's happened? He's just downwind of something he's smelling. Modern people, we don't rely on our noses, but our subconsciouses are still aware of what's going on. So you smell something because you're downwind of it, your hackles stand up. It's nothing mysterious. You just smelled something that was out of place. So when you become aware of your senses and you're looking at things carefully and you are assessing them and you are aware, it makes a difference. It's like if you hunt, you get out with somebody that can read sign, say, well, there were 3 doe that came along here. 2 of them have fawns. There were a couple of young bucks that came by about 45 minutes later. And then an hour, there was 1 big buck, and he probably left. See, he probably left a scrape on a tree like one of those over there. How can you see all of that? Because you're trained to look at it. So you see things that other people don't. So that also goes back to your initial question about some of the TV judges and what they're doing. Some of us are trained in doing stuff like that, and we got pretty good at it. So you can work these things and you can put them to use, so you just are not oblivious to what's going on around you. Eyes, ears, smell. What are you looking at? So these things we have to do. And by the way, you look at a politician, watch what they do. When a politician puts one hand in a pocket when he's talking, means he's not actually lying, but he's not telling you the whole truth. You put both hands in your pockets, you're lying. You see people saying, I really want to get this program together, and they're giving you a subconscious negative head shake. Or this has got to stop. It is really not good. And neutral. But then again, they turn right around and say, this is a really horrible thing that's happening. this should not happen, and they're giving you an affirmative nod that says, yeah, they agree with it. They're doing it to you. See,
Wow.
watch these people when they do these things. And then when they grin too much, they're lying. They're deceitful and they're nervous. And a lot of times, people, even though they are get in front of an audience often, they aren't good at it and they don't know how to hide what they're thinking and they're telling you a lie. So you have to be able to watch these things.
That is great. That is great advice. I appreciate that. I know that you got to go. So where can fans best keep up with you today? Where do you want to direct?
Okay, there are two ways. All right. You can go on Twitter and you can catch me at Judge Joe Brown TV, where I irritate the devil out of the usual Twitter algorithms. And I don't have a blue check because they don't believe it's me. And or if you want to get a product that will make you feel good, I call it vitamin Q. Judge Joe Brown Barbecue. We are offering seasonings, sauces, recipes, cookers. Those are the come. But if you go to JJB, Judge Joe Brown, JJB Barbecue, BBQ, so that's JJBBBQ.com, you can order some of this stuff. Right now, before it hits the shelves, we're selling it online. It's some pretty good sauce. Down here in Memphis in May, we have this invitational barbecue cooking contest. About 10, 15 years ago, this team I was with asked me to whip something up. I did it in a couple of hours, and on blind taste test, it came in third place out of 1,500 contestants. And that wasn't even the good stuff. If you live in LA and you want to taste it, you know, you can't find barbecue in a good upscale place, but down in the hood, 79th and Western, there's a place called D's Original Takeout Grill. It doesn't say barbecue, but that's the best barbecue in LA, and they use the product. It's Chef Damon, and he does stuff for Beyonce and some of the starlets. He does gourmet catering for barbecue and that kind of stuff. So we've shot some videos, and stuff will be out, but you can get it. JJBBBQ.com. And I still have reruns, 15 years worth, that come on Bounce TV on cable and satellite. So if you watch it, I think for Comcast, for example, it comes on 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. I still get residuals. I got to get all over CBS's ass because they are very late in paying it. But, you know, why let them get all the money? Hell, I did the work.
That's right. Well, we will put those links on our social media. And thank you, Judge. No further questions.
I got to go. This has been Joe. Call me when you can. I will be the one that ran. I'm out of here. And have no fear. Okay. Good being with you, sir.
You too. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.